Hey everybody, BK with Masada Tactical here with another video. Third installment in our vehicle counter ambush tactics. If you remember the first time we just talked about situational awareness, not putting myself in a bad position to begin with. The next video we talked about making the decision whether or not I want to stay in the car or want to leave the car. Remember, if I leave the car or anytime I do any kind of movement, it's because it allows some sort of a tactical advantage. So if I can be in the car and drive away, I probably should do that. But if I can't, either environment is not permissive, either from tactical situation like people around and so forth, I can't bolt, the car is disabled, whatever it is, I need to leave the car because at that point staying in the car is actually going to work against me. Before we get into the actual tactics, I want to cover really quickly terms that should be pretty obvious for everybody, but just in case, and those are cover and concealment. Concealment hides me, cover protects me in a generic kind of general view. So if we talk about a car, some things are going to allow me for cover, actual protection is going to be the engine block for obvious reasons. A lot of steel there, a lot of components, a lot of heavy metals, short of projectiles that are designed specifically to penetrate that area. That's going to keep you pretty safe. And let's face it, if you being shot at with ammunition that is designed to penetrate engine blocks, then we have bigger issues at that point. Second area is typically the wheelbase. So if I was on the other side of the car and you guys are my adversary, then being behind the wheelbase will allow some sort of protection just because of the heavy axle that's there. Again, heavier, stronger steels and metals. One thing that people often neglect to mention though is the actual door. Specifically doors that have windows and mechanisms in there. In one test that we did at Masada Tactical is we took a bunch of different firearms, we took a few different doors of different manufacturers, different types of teams, and we shot through them. We shot with 940, 45, 556, 762 by 51, 12 gauge slugs and bird shots. And the honest truth, the only thing that penetrated the door all the way through, and even then it was somewhat mangled and lost a lot of its inertia, were the 762 by 51 and the 12 gauge slug. Nothing else penetrated. So not that I would trust a door to be my cover in a gunfight, but if that's what I need to do, then have some faith in it. It will keep you safe, at least temporarily, until you can move to a better tactic. All right, so you're in the car and you're coming onto an ambush that you can't drive away from. You're kind of stuck. Maybe a vehicle is disabled at this point. I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to put myself in a position of advantage. And it's gonna start by placing the vehicle at a 45-degree angle, give or take, to my actual threat. So in this case, the target to the left is my threat, and my engine block is as much between me and them as possible, while still allowing me to draw and shoot through the window at the target. And I make a big deal out of it because we see a lot of videos where instructors teach shooting through the windshield and everybody is having a great time and it looks sexy and exciting. But the reality is, if you think about those videos, they're all wearing ear protection and eye protection. And let's be honest, when was the last time you drove with ear protection and eye protection on? Reality is that if I shot inside a cabin, especially if windows are up and so forth, noise and concussion even more so than noise itself, you're potentially going to put me out of the fight. If I shoot through a windshield, I'm going to have to shoot multiple rounds just because I have to account to those less than optimal hits. Remember that windshield is going to affect trajectory to some extent. At this distance, probably not that much, but I still want to play it safe and I'm going to shoot multiple times. If I get all that concussion inside a car, no ear protection on, it's going to put me in a pretty bad situation at that point. Now don't get me wrong, there are going to be situations potentially where I'm going to have to. Maybe I didn't have a chance to put my vehicle at a 45-degree angle. Maybe my target moved and now they're in front of me. Okay, for whatever the situation is, there may be an instant where I may have to shoot through the windshield. But whenever possible, 45-degree angle is where I want to be. Now let's take it a step further. So if I'm in the car and I got in the car and I'm going to set myself for a winning situation, what I'm going to do is, when I get in the car, I'm going to take my shirt and I'm going to tuck it behind the gun. Same thing with my seatbelt. So if I need to draw, there's nothing getting in my way. Many of us carry in the 4 o'clock position or thigh rigs or duty belts, whatever your mission calls for. The reality is that I got to train from that position and be able to draw and engage a threat, which is why we recommend appendix carry for this situation. There are different mounts that you can put in the car that may facilitate that. I'm okay with that as long as you guys train with it, you feel comfortable, and you know that under stress, you're gonna have that muscle memory to reach to that tool rather than go to where you carry your gun on a daily basis. Okay, all those attachments don't help me if I don't know how to use them or will not use them under stress. I can draw the gun, I can engage outside the window, all that energy disappears on the outside, so there's very little effect on me, and I need to get out that seatbelt so I don't get trapped in it, specifically my support side hand. I'm gonna use this hand to go underneath the seatbelt and using the belt itself as a tactile point of reference. I'm gonna use the sense of feel, specifically under stress. My hearing is already compromised, right? I'm gonna use as many other senses as I can. I'm gonna use it to guide my hand down to the release button and get out of that belt. When I open the door, I'm gonna use my foot to secure it. I'm doing that for two main reasons. One is to prevent the door from slamming back at me, okay? Whether because of wind, because I open it with a lot of momentum, maybe the car is in an angle. I don't want that door closing up on me when I'm trying to get out. The second thing is I don't want it exposed to where potentially I can get shot at. By doing this, I can still engage a threat from this angle. I'm on the outside, I'm behind cover. Remember we discussed that this area is gonna afford some level of cover, and then when safe to do so, I'm gonna move to a predetermined secondary point of a tactical advantage. Where is my next point of cover? Maybe it's a pillar on that side, maybe it's a mound of dirt, maybe it's another vehicle. Whatever it is, I don't want to stay in this box that at this point acts as a coffin unless I move out of it. Not that I recommend you do this on your own, but notice no ear protection on purpose just to show that this skill works even when you are shooting live round. As long as the muzzle is outside that window, there's a lot less concussion, a lot less noise. Will it affect you? Yes, but minimally, not quite as much as if you did the whole thing inside the cabin of a car. Last point that I forgot to mention earlier, but very, very important because we've seen people do it. When you're about to exit a car, please, please, please put the car in park. There's nothing worse of you trying to get out of the car and the car starts to roll away from you. And that's when people fall. That's when people put themselves in a more compromising position than they were in before. Stay safe. We'll pick this up next time.